I'm chasing you, go faster! Kitty! Kitty!
Hey guys, it's Kenny with the Long Run with Kenny. And yeah, I'm a little late on this, but about a month ago, I ran my first 100-mile ultra. And just wanted to give you guys a quick recap. Maybe not quick, but this time I'm going to try to divide it up. So I'm going to kind of do a few parts here, pretty much like what my motivation was to run this thing, what was the training plan I used, about the race and why I picked the Yeti 100 East Coast, about my gear, my outfit, what my race plan was, the nutrition and food situation, how did it go, recovery, and just final thoughts. So that's kind of the process here. Clearly, I did it. So I did it in 25 hours and 25 and a half hours. My goal was 24. I'm super happy with it. It went very smoothly. I'll save you that way that you don't have to fast forward to the end to get the results here. I've been running for a really long time, a lot of road running, relatively new to trail running, probably within the last 3 years or so. I have done two 50-mile runs. My first one was 3 years ago, and my second one was a few months ago. And so I do have a background in long distance. I've done a handful of marathons and a few timed races, 6-hour runs, 12-hour runs, that kind of thing. But I typically never place, and I just kind of run for fun. The plan I used for this particular race was Heather Hart's 28-week guide. She has a website called the Relentlessly Forward Commotion. I really recommend you go check it out. You can get her training plan there for free. I'm not going to post it here so I can get some traffic to her blog. I used her 50-mile plan and it worked really well. So that's why I chose to use her 100. Kind of what she has you doing is you run about 5 days a week for 28 weeks. And you typically do 3 smaller runs back to back to back. And then you do a really big run on Saturday. And then you follow it up the next day with a timed run, trying to mimic running on tired legs. The weekly distances start at 25 miles. And then they work their way up to about 70 miles a week total, which is a lot. I'll be honest, I probably followed it about 85% of the time. I did miss a few runs, just, life, of course. I did have to shorten a few runs, either did not feeling well or just couldn't do it, or weather or whatever. And, but for the most part, I did follow it, and I think it made me successful on this race. So I want to give her a huge shout out. Just some stats about what happened for me. Year to date, my Strava says I ran about 1,300 miles, which is about 250 hours on feet. I did have a little bit of a setback the last few weeks after the 50-miler I did in Oregon, which is what she did recommend. And that worked for me. It kind of got me back in race mode again. When we got back, I got really sick. And so I had to miss some of the long weekends after that 50-mile run. And then I had a foot injury kind of come up out of nowhere. I had to miss one of the last big pushes. So I was a little nervous, but thankfully all the time on feet really just added up and got me to power through. So there's a lot of races I could pick from, but I chose the Yeti 100 Endurance Run. It's in Abingdon, Virginia. And this area of Virginia was affected by the Hurricane Helene last year. So was Asheville, which is where I live. And that's a huge motivator as to why I even picked that race and why I even chose to do a 100-mile race. After the hurricane, our town was absolutely rocked, and I think my mental health wasn't doing so great. And so my way of kind of clawing my way out of that kind of funk was to do this race. And so that's why I chose this particular race, because last year they had to cancel, of course, because it happened the same weekend. And this year, the race course was actually altered because the hurricane damage affected many of their train trestle crossings. And so we weren't able to make the original course goes all the way up to White Top. We weren't able to access that. So the race organizers did their best to alter the course to still get you 100 miles. So I kind of wanted to support them, and I'm glad I did. The whole course is very Appalachian style, very similar to what I'm used to running here, and the views. I just felt very much at home, and it was only 2 hours away from Asheville, so it's very easy logistically. So the race, what they do is they start you in Abingdon, Virginia, at the sports complex, and then you run out about 17 miles to Damascus. Once you get there, you turn around and go back to Abingdon, and you repeat this 3 times. So yes, it can be a little boring. Of course, you're seeing the same stuff along the way. But since you're running half the race through the night anyway, it didn't really make a big difference to me because I wasn't going to be able to see much. The course is very runnable. It's tightly compact gravel. Um, I highly, highly recommend this as a first time race. The crew points, you have Abingdon, Damascus, and then you have 2 along the way. They were very, very accessible. My crew said they drove no more than 20 minutes from Damascus, which is where our home base was. The race is very well organized by Jason Green and tons of volunteers that were all just up through the night killing it. It also had a ton of awesome, amazing swag. Not that that's what you're doing the race for, but it's pretty cool to get some awesome gear out of it. One being is their tradition is to give you a skateboard deck that's custom for each year, and I thought that was really cool. It's hanging up on my wall right now. So elevation wise, it's a very flat course because we don't go to white top. The total elevation gain for the whole thing was only 2,000 feet. So this is kind of why I picked it as well, because I knew it was going to be not easy, but just low elevation meant I didn't have to worry about climbing. I could just focus on just putting in the miles. Most of the course follows along a river. You're kind of in like what I call a tunnel. You're kind of running under tree foliage and coverage. And then there's a section that spits you out by this farm that gives you a nice view of this beautiful farmland view. So yeah, that's the course overview. I just have nothing negative to say. It was awesome. Very much would recommend anyone looking for the first time course in the East Coast to choose this one. Outfit and gear. I'm not going to go too much into it. I'm just going to kind of show you a picture here, and I'm going to list the brands and things that I was wearing. Everything worked pretty well for me. My Patagonia shorts, I kind of knew from the 50-mile race. I have an updated version of the same style as shorts, and I wore those for the 50-mile race, and it kind of had a lot of issues with chafing. I thought I was going to be safe with this older pair because I haven't had so many issues with it in the past. In order to mitigate it, I did use KT tape, and I don't know if it's TMI, but I did kind of throw some patches like in some areas that were prone to chafing, as well as using a ton of squirrel nut butter. That was kind of how I saved it. And to be honest, I came away okay with that method. However, reflecting back on it now, I really wish I think I will probably switch to trying to use compression shorts to see if I can mitigate that. Hey, bud. Oh, good boy. That's Riggs. So that's kind of the gear that I used. The only screw up I had was that I use a Solomon vest when it's awesome. However, I managed to somehow forget the 2 bladders. I left them at home, and I didn't realize that till 9:30 p.m. the night before the race. I ended up switching to my crew helped save me on this situation. One of my buddies, Emily, happened to have a camelback bladder that did fit in my pack. You can see in the picture that I have it there. I'm not used to carrying water on my back, and I'm not used to having that tube kind of flopping around on my shoulder, but it did work. And then my friend Katie let me use one of her 50 or 500 milliliter bottles. It didn't quite fit, but it worked. And then the guys crushed it. They went out. Actually, Emily ended up driving like an hour away to go to a sporting goods store to go buy me those 2 bladder replacements, and then they gave them to me when they met up at mile 20 at the first aid station. So a little scary at first. I'm kicking myself for forgetting those. That's just ridiculous, but they managed to solve it. Other than that, I have no complaints about dog. Other than that, I don't have any complaints about the gear. Everything worked really well. I did do 3 sock changes along the way, but no complaints about that. Okay, next up, nutrition, food and nutrition. So I'll show you a picture here of what I started with. I divvied out little bags of what my nutrition was for each of the aid stations of what I would actually carry in my pack. The goal in my head was to try to consume something every 30 minutes to an hour. I really relied heavily on goos. I tried not to use any caffeinated ones till probably about 2 in the morning. I've been using these for 15 years. It just works for me. My buds that were taking my trash during the race thought it was absolutely disgusting how sticky they were, but they work for me. I also used fruit crushers from Trader Joe's, which are just like applesauce things. They're just in pouches that are really easy for me to carry and grab, and they give you a little bit of sugar and carbs. I also used Tailwind, the unflavored variety. I had Tailwind in one of my bladders and then just water in the other. And I did switch to one mixture of LMNT to get some electrolytes and just change up the taste because I kind of was getting pretty sick of the tailwind. That's kind of my nutrition. I also did use some honey stingers, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to eat those after probably mile 30. They're just so dry. So then for races like this, you just rely on food, like actual substantial food. Um, I I struggled to eat dinner the night before. I think just nerves, but I did get down some tofu and coconut rice and some black beans. And then the next morning, I tried to eat some overnight oats and some coffee and a banana and a breakfast biscuit, but I really struggled. I was just so nervous. But then throughout the race, I pretty much every single aid station, I made sure to try to eat something like super, like actually substantial, either from the aid station or from my gear. I really relied heavily on. I had a Publix sub. I ate a lot of bananas. I ate some pancakes, some pierogies, some quesadillas. Near the end, I even just ate straight up like tomato soup and refried beans from the aid station and some ramen, which was pretty clutch. My buddy Dana brought some oranges and grapes that I really loved. And I think next time I do something like this, I need to eat more fruit like that. That really worked well for me because dry stuff was really hard to get down. And along the way, I also relied on chocolate milk, which probably won't work for everybody because it's dairy heavy, but man, it hit the spot for me. And then a few sips of Dr. Pepper and some Celsius late at night for caffeine. But yeah, you're just pretty much eating the whole time. And I relied on my pacers to kind of remind me to eat. And I just got calories down the whole time. I feel like I was probably eating more than talking. And so the race plan, what I did was I decided after doing some research, I did for the first half, I tried to do, I didn't really, I used Ultra Pacer to try to have some starting um, pace times. And that also helped my crew kind of estimate when I was going to be arriving at aid stations. But I really wasn't sticking to that so much. I just wanted to do a run walk combo, and I just wanted to be comfortable. So I started with a run jog for 0.8 miles and then walk for 0.2 miles. And during the walk, I mean, I'm walking with a purpose and I'm walking pretty fast, but really just trying to recover. And that's really tough to do if you're like coming from a road running perspective. It's a weird mental shift to switch like that, but it worked for me. And I kept that up for a really long time. I think around, I can't remember, probably around mile 35 or 40. I did switch it to a 0.4, 0.1 switch. That way I wasn't sacrificing time, but I was giving myself more frequent walk breaks. And that seemed to really work. That was my race plan. Around mile 52, that's the first point you can pick up a pacer. And I had 4 different pacers: my buddy Katie, her wife Evan, my friend Dana, and my friend Emily all volunteered to help me with this. And I had a pacer from mile 52 all the way to mile 97. And I alternated between them, some of them doing different legs, some of them doing multiple legs at a time. This race is super cool for anyone that wants to help crew or pace because your options to switch out pacers are very frequent. There's, I think the smallest amount my buddy did was 3.7 miles, and the longest someone did, I think, was like 9.5 at a time. And also, it's really easy for crew to access these points. I had my friend Sam, Cordelia, my friend Mo tagged along, Corinne, and my buddy Danny all showed up to support me during this, and which was awesome. They crushed it. I couldn't have done it without them. We'll just fast forward to the end there. These guys, there's no way I could have done this thing. These guys crushed it. They brought me all the things I needed. They were there up through the night. They took turns alternating driving. They said that they had a great time, and I'm kind of jealous I didn't get to hang out with them more. I was busy running. How did it go? I think just all my training, all my preparation, and thanks to my crew, things went really smooth. I really only had 2 low points. Mile 30, I hit this like open section of the farm area. Oh, I lucked out with the weather. It was kind of warmish throughout most of the day. It was humid, but not too hot, not too cold. It really was fine, and the rain held off the entire time. So honestly, I was comfortable. I had a shirt. I didn't put a jacket on or change at any point in time. I was really comfortable. Mile 30 though, I hit this open section of farm and it got kind of hot and toasty, and I kind of had a little bit of like imposter syndrome kind of going on where I was like, am I really like a 100-mile runner? Like, look at all these people around me. They're they look awesome. And am I really going to do this? But once I hit the covered section again, all that negative thoughts just went away. And I was like, what am I thinking? This is awesome. I can do this. Mile 39, 10 out of 10. Crew stop back there, 35 at Abingdon. Those guys crushed it. Feeling a lot better than I did 10 miles ago. It's humid, but a lot of shade out here. Perfect temps. I really can't complain. Honestly, wouldn't want to be anywhere else. The other tough section I had was Dana and I had just turned around at the Damascus aid station. We're coming back to the cruise spot, and out of nowhere, I have some KT tape that I'd put on my toes to help prevent some blisters. But out of nowhere, I had a sudden pain in my right pinky toe. And it turns out I had a blister that had grown and then popped. And so I'll show you a picture here of me tending to that blister with my entire crew watching me. And probably they were really nervous because I was limping pretty bad before this. This is at like 4:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, something like that. I managed to reapply some tape and put some anti-chafe on my toes and put some thicker socks on. And I managed to still power through. At first, when I started walking on it, it was pretty painful, but I think I just willed myself to go. Those are really the only tough spots. I really didn't have any issues with really anything else along the way. Kind of just willed my body to go forward. The entire experience was just I found it to be fun. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's type 2 fun for sure, but man, something about, I was with my friend Katie and we were, I don't even know, it's 5:30 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, mile 70, 80, 90, I don't even remember. We're going to an aid station and they're offering shots of Fireball, and she took one. And just something about being in the middle of the woods at night like that is just, and like, you're like, what are we doing? It's just, I don't know, where else are you going to get that kind of experience? I was pretty there the whole time. I could tell my brain was starting to kind of crush a little bit in terms of trying to make conversation or trying to keep track of my pace. I kind of let all my pacers do all the talking and tracking for me. And I was just there along the ride. I was just listening to them tell me when to walk and when to run. And that really helped take all the mental energy out of my head. The running through the night was a little wonky. I had my headlamp. My headlamp did die along the way. I switched it. I had a backup, no big deal. The night was a little tough just because you don't have anything to distract you with. You can't really see around you. It kind of forces you to think more about just like, oh man, what am I doing? That's where I really relied on my pacers, just to talk to me and keep me distracted. I remember I kept telling Katie, like, I can't wait till sun comes back up. I can't wait till we get to the farm. And that was just me trying to get a change of scenery because I was so sick of the same view, kind of like just that Blair Witch Project, like, light flashing around. I was pretty sick of it. It had been hours doing that. Other than that, though, yeah, like I dropped Katie off at mile 97 at the aid station in Watauga, and my crew were, they were there so stoked. Everyone just knew at that point, like, yeah, I'm gonna finish. Even if I'm walking, I'm gonna clearly make the cutoff. And they drove away, and they said I could see them waving and honking, and I was so stoked. I started jogging the last, when I was at mile 97, I was like, oh, I'll jog this in. And then after about 2 minutes, I was like, nah, I can't do it. I got to walk. And so I ended up having to walk the last 3. I tried to run, but man, I was just spent. I also realized my phone had died, and I was really bummed because my wife had been trying to call me. She wasn't able to come due to a family issue. So she was trying to call me the whole time, and I'm bummed because it would have been nice to talk to her, but I'm kind of glad I didn't because I probably would have just cried the whole time. I spent those last 3 miles just reflecting on how proud I was of myself and my crew and all the work that went into doing this. I mean, it took almost a year of training. And what's crazy too is the sun's up, and this was a Saturday morning at this point. There were people that were running on their just morning casual jog, and they're running past me all telling me congrats. And the craziest part is there was this little baby fawn just in the middle of the trail, and this beautiful fall day, and there's this fawn. I was like, oh my gosh, some tears come to my eyes. I was just like, this is just too much. This is unbelievable.
I'm chasing you, go faster! Katie! Katie!
yeah, I just the sense of accomplishment and pride that I have in myself about, making a goal and achieving it. Yeah, I've been on a high for, a month. Um, Recovery wise, I was pretty stiff when we got done. I finished. When I came around the corner, I finished. My entire crew was there with signs. The all the volunteers and the other crews were there, just clapping and supporting everyone finishing. I got that belt buckle, and we went back to our little spot by the car, and we all cracked a beer at 8:30 in the morning, and just kind of reveled in the accomplishment. And I could tell fatigue was starting to kick in, so we went back to the Airbnb, and I took a shower, and trying to walk back from the shower to the bed, I could tell I was like, man, I'm stiff. I got a few hours of sleep in, but then I woke back up, and I think all the caffeine and everything was just making it difficult to sleep. I woke back up, and I tried to get back on a normal schedule. We stayed up. We just celebrated. We watched a movie, had dinner, and then I was able to sleep for 10 hours that night. The next day, I was moving pretty well. I did a sauna cold plunge that next day, and I think that really helped in the recovery. I highly recommend them. And then following that, I spent like a week of celebration, hitting up some breweries with some buddies and just celebrating. Um, Other than just my toes and feet getting a little tore up, I managed to not lose any nails. Nothing too serious, just some blister healing. I really feel okay. I even did a 10-mile run a few days later. But to be honest, it's been about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I haven't run. I wanted to give my body a chance to recover, give my brain a chance to recover. I do want to get back out there, but it's been kind of nice just catching up with life, especially approaching the holidays here and getting to celebrate Halloween. Would I do it again? You know, I think I'm gonna have to. I want to. I don't want to make any plans. I don't have any races registered. This was a huge time commitment. I know if I go back and read my blog or my YouTube videos, I'm gonna be like, "What are you doing? Like that was a huge commitment. Do you really want to do that again?" So this might not be for a while, but um, because I did so well, and because yes, it was tough, but and I did push my body pretty hard. I think I can do something more challenging or do even more. Perhaps maybe doing this race when they have the full course open again would be a nice way to kind of get the next step, or maybe choosing another race in a location that I'm excited about would be a cool challenge. I don't know, but pretty much, yeah. I think I, I I understand when people warned me, people in the race, the running community were like, "Man, once you do this thing, you're going to be looking for new races like the next day," and they're right. It's addictive. So yeah, I guess long run with Kenny, I guess, is going to continue. I guess it's a little bit longer.